Well, last week I spent some time on eastern Long Island in the Hamptons, and of course I brought my camera, got out for 2 really cool mornings, and this is how I spent my time. Well, good morning. I am out on the eastern end of Long Island. I'm in East Hampton, New York, and I'm out here with family celebrating, I guess, the unofficial start of summer, Memorial Day weekend. And of course, I brought my camera. It's a beautiful area. And so I was hoping for a great sunrise, but I am not going to get it this morning. It looks pretty cloudy and a little foggy. So plan B would be something that's kind of minimalist in nature. So I know this one spot with these old pilings sticking out of the water that will make, I think, a nice long exposure shot. So I'm going to walk down there, be there shortly, and see if I can get a decent shot. Well, forgot my tripod in the car. Got to go back to get it. Need that for a long exposure. Well, these are these pilings right down here. They are right by this house, so I'm not sure if this is trespassing. Hopefully not. I'll try to be a little quiet because it is still before sunrise, and make my way down onto this beach here. Well, there's a little bit of color in the sky. I really want it to be over there, but it's really this way, so maybe I'll shoot in this direction. It's a little messy in the foreground here, but hopefully with composition I can deal with that. All right, I am going to use some neutral density filters because the sky is brighter than the foreground. So I want to darken the sky with a hard edge graduated filter. And for a super long exposure, I may be using my 10-stop ND filter, but we'll see what the exposure is like. Well, it's not a bad shot. I'm going out right now just about 1 second. I may go for a longer exposure. A lot of little bugs here, sorry. But the water's really calm, so even with just 1 second, I do get kind of that glassy feel. But sometimes it helps to do even longer to make the water even glassier, one, and then if I want to get some cloud movement in the sky, which might add some drama to it, I'm not sure. Again, I'm here, so I'll probably give it a try. Well, I did put on my 10-stop ND filter, and I'm going at about a 2-minute exposure right now. Not just guessing, I actually have an app that tells me what the exposure should be if you put a 10-stop ND filter on. And so I went into bulb mode on my camera. I have a remote shutter release. I'm not going to touch it, but it's on my camera there. And in 30 seconds, I'm going to close the shutter, see what I get. Well, some of you may have noticed I haven't been putting up a lot of videos lately, and it's not because I haven't been doing a lot of photography. I have. I'm just doing more portrait work and headshots and some product photography, more in the studio stuff, and I could be vlogging that, but that's kind of new for me, and so I really just want to focus on getting the photography right before I start vlogging. I probably will pretty soon, but I'll put up some photos now that I've taken recently of models, actors, product stuff that I've done in my studio and at some local spots in my town, a barn as an example, that I had a lot of fun at. I just didn't vlog it. Well, I changed position here, shooting more kind of directly to the horizon. Not much color, but there is some texture in the sky. So I'm getting down pretty low with a wide angle lens. I'm getting the foreground with these pilings and I'm getting quite a bit of the sky as well. Little messy in the foreground. You see it's got some of the seaweed there. I'll probably clone that out in post, but keep the rocks because I kind of like the texture, and see what I get. Well, I think I got some good shots here. I'm gonna move on. There might be some other spots to shoot around here. It's a pretty area. If I do, I'm sure I'm gonna take you along with me. Well, you really can't see it on this camera, but out in the distance there's this little, I don't know if it's a house or a shack, but it's tucked in this little hill right on the edge of the water. I'm gonna get my long lens out and get a shot of this one, I think. Well, I was heading back to the house where I'm staying in an area called North Haven, and there's this marina area, fishing boats, maybe lobster boats, I'm not sure. So I figured I'd come check it out, and kind of interesting details I'm focusing on. Nothing spectacular, but kind of a fun area, a little different than the last spot, but I'll wander around, see what I can come up with. Well, I have arrived at my destination, and just simple pilings in back, very minimalist. With the fog in back, it really allows the viewer's eye to isolate just on these pilings and the beach in front. I am going to use a very long exposure because that will smooth out the water and again isolate the pilings even more. So let me get my neutral density filter on my camera and start shooting. Well, I have a long exposure going. Set my timer for 2 minutes. That should probably do it, I think. But it's a little trial and error. One issue I have this morning is it's so foggy and so misty, my lens can get very glossed over and misty. And so I'm gonna have to just keep wiping the lens down. This camera too, but that's okay, it's worth it. Well, I took that photo at 2 minutes, and here's what I got. So, underexposed. So I am going to do a 3.5 minute exposure now, and we'll see how that comes out. Well, that 3.5 minute exposure definitely was better. A little underexposed, but really not bad. I'm gonna go 4.5 minutes now, so really long exposure. By the way, if you're doing long exposures, you really should be bringing extra batteries with you because this chews up your batteries pretty quickly. So I've got 3 extra batteries with me. I'm not gonna use them all, but I've already blown through one from yesterday's shoot and now this morning. So always come prepared. I'm doing one final long exposure just to get one more in the can, so to speak. I usually come here when it's high tide because these pilings get covered with water, but this is sort of interesting too, with the pilings leading from the beach to the water. I certainly don't mind this. Well, I think I got some good shots here. I am going to head down the beach a little bit back towards my car, maybe get some of these waves out there with the fog in the back. That's always kind of a cool shot to try to get when it's foggy at the beach. And then, as I make my way back to where I'm staying, there might be some other shooting. We'll see. Stay Stay tuned. Well, I put my long lens on, my 70 to 200 millimeter, and I'm kind of shooting down the shore both ways, sometimes focusing on the waves, sometimes just focusing on the shoreline where the water comes up and creates some nice patterns. You get the highlights of the glassiness of the water versus the kind of more shadows, I guess, of the sand. So there's a little bit of contrast, but it's all very muted because of the fog. Very minimalist, very surreal. What a crazy morning. It's really cool here. So after my time at the beach, I was driving back to where I was staying, and it was still a foggy morning. So I pulled over and took these shots of East Hampton in the fog. I thought they were pretty cool. I'll also put up some shots I took on my way to the beach that morning. Still dark, kind of moody shots that I caught on my way driving to the beach. Hey, if you do like this video, it does help the channel just to give me a like. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos.